Welcome to Peculiar Stories, where we explore the fascinating world of near-death experiences and offer new perspectives on the meaning of life and death. Our goal is to shed light on these profound stories, deepen your understanding of life, and provide valuable insights to our audience. Whether you're new here or simply joining us again, we're thrilled to have you on this journey. If you enjoy what we do, consider subscribing to our channel to stay updated on our latest content. And don't forget to hit the like button to help our content reach a wider audience. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be transported to the edge of life and beyond. Hey there, my name is Peter Perez. Before I share with you my experience, let me tell you what led to all of this. It was an uncommonly hot and humid spring day. It began that morning before I went to work at 4:30. I was having a difficult time breathing and felt very lethargic. After a cup of coffee, I felt a bit better, and so began my normal workday. Anyone who has ever driven a school bus knows there is no such thing as a normal day. My normal day would consist of clocking in at 5 a.m., staring my bus, as well as several others, doing a pre-trip inspection, then go into the bus barn to check my mailbox, and a cup of coffee, then do my morning run at 5:20, clock out at 8:40, then go to the horse farm. I owned and trained racehorses. I would jog, train, groom, and do any vet or foot care needed on any of the 14 horses we had in the barn. After doing this, I would muck out the stalls, then head to the main house for coffee, and discuss what needed to be done to certain horses on certain days. Then at 11 a.m., head back to bus barn for my second run of the day. A skill center run, a place where junior and senior students go for vocational training. That week, I had an additional run, third run, at the skill center, where I took the building trade students to a site where they were building a house. I was to wait at a location nearby until it was time for me to pick them up approximately 2 hours later. In this case, I waited at a small park a quarter of a mile away. The heat was unbearable to sit on my bus, even with all of the windows open, so I found a tree with some shade and sat down on the grass to read a book. I fell asleep, which was very uncommon for me. When I woke up, I had about 5 minutes before I had to leave to pick up the students. And so began my fourth run of the day. I picked up the building trade students and brought them back to the skill center. I parked my bus to wait for my next run, which began in approximately 15 minutes. Run number 5, the longest run of the day, which began at 2:20 and ended at 6:15. I began this run by picking up my skill center students, transporting them back to school, dropping them off, and picking up my high school and elementary students and do the take-home run. After completing the take-home run, I had to return to the high school to do another run for students who stay after school for tutoring and take them all home. I clocked out at 6:15. This was a Monday, and Monday is my golf league night, as well as my softball league night. Luckily, this particular Monday, the two schedules did not conflict. Oftentimes, I had to choose which one I would do if the starting time of my softball games were early. We had the 9:30 late game that night, so I could do both golf and softball. I always chose softball over golf when the times were overlapping. After clocking out of work, I immediately went to golf course and began our 9-hole round. While on the course, I sweated profusely and complained to my playing partner, who was also on my softball team, that I was having a hard time breathing and was just super tired. I drank a lot of water that night. I have always had a hard time breathing in the spring because of pollen allergies, and also when it was humid like most people. I shot the worst 9-hole round of my life that night, but I just chalked it up to a long workday and being tired. After completing golf, I picked up my girlfriend, and we went to my softball game. I got there just in time for the start of the game. In between innings, I would comment to the guys on the team that I just can't get a deep breath today. As bad as my round of golf was, my softball game that night was spot on. I was having the best game I have had in a few years. I was the shortstop, which is the most important and athletic position on the field. I turned several double plays and made some great running catches. I had hit 2 home runs, a triple, a double. The game went into extra innings and ran well into the night. All of the other games were finished on the 7 other fields, and many of those people were watching our game. I remember telling my pitcher that it was nice to have such a large audience watch us. It was the 14th inning. We were on defense. They had a runner on first with 1 out. The batter hit a shot down the left field line to the fence. The left fielder threw the ball to me, the cutoff man. I turned and threw the ball home just in time to throw the runner out. My adrenaline was really flowing after that great play, and my heart was racing, and I couldn't catch my breath whatsoever. I made the motion for a timeout. I took 2 steps toward my pitcher and collapsed. I was dead before I hit the ground. It was just past 11:30 p.m. I remember looking out to left field from my shortstop position, and there was my grandfather, who died in 1978, but went to every one of my baseball games up until his death, walking toward me. I was so happy to see him. He was a young man, not the elderly man I knew when he was alive. He got to the edge of the grass and the dirt of the infield. I walked toward him. He never said a word, but he was telling me to come with him. He turned back toward the left field fence and we began walking toward the fence. I asked him, "Granddad, what are you doing here?" He stopped, turned and pointed toward the pitcher's mound. I turned and saw a large group of players, spectators, frantically running to and from there. Then I saw 2 blue cleats, pointed toward the sky. My blue cleats. Then, like being sucked through a vacuum house, there I was lying face up on the ground with one person holding my shoulders, another holding my legs down, a woman talking at me, another man with his hands on my chest. The one with his hands on my chest yelled my name, and something else. I began to get angry because they were holding me down. I told everyone to let me go. I was fine and just wanted to go home. I raised my head and I was dead again. Again, I was with my grandfather out in left field, only this time we were approximately 100 feet above the field. I could see hundreds of people running around screaming, some crying, and some keeping others from gathering too close. I saw 2 people open the gate to let the ambulance into the outfield grass. I saw my girlfriend being held back by my best friend, and seeing her hit him and screaming, "Let me go to him," and he would not. I saw the paramedics use the paddles to shock my heart to get it to restart. I saw them put me in the ambulance. I saw my girlfriend get in with me in tears. What I remember next is a feeling of complete peace unlike I had ever felt before. And there was my grandfather and I above the clouds. I could still see the ball field and all the chaos, and the ambulance beginning to drive away. As this was happening, Grandfather took me to a place where there were 3 rooms. The first he showed me had a glow like that of the sun, but it wasn't hot. It was warm, peaceful, inviting, and an overwhelming feeling of love. The second door was grayish. It too had a feeling of peace, but wasn't as inviting as the first. At the third door, another male figure was waiting. My grandfather hugged me and walked through that door. I began to walk to that door, but there was a feeling of apprehension, and maybe a little fear. The male figure standing in front of that door said to me, "If you enter through this door, you will never return." All I can remember next was fear. Not a fear of going to hell, but a fear of never returning, and I had so much yet to do. I put my right foot through the doorway, and then that feeling of being sucked through a vacuum again. I opened my eyes and it was clear to me where I was. I looked up at the ceiling at the fluorescent light and began to cry. That's when my girlfriend held my hand and we cried. I was back among the living. Watch Deborah's experience of beyond death where she sees healing spirits operate on her with the doctors in the surgery room.